So as soon as these players load up on Shattered Temple, this is going to be Game 4 of Purdue versus Louisiana State University. And spawning in the 3 o'clock position, we have Z-Dog playing for LSU as the Orange Terran. Oh, so suave. And then for the Mighty Boilermakers, we have the one and only Purple Protoss, McComey. McComey is also our team captain, as a little side note. Oh, thanks for Drew Brees. For anyone who does not know what that is in reference to, Drew Brees attended Purdue University as his undergraduate, and upon graduating was drafted, I think, directly to the Saints. I don't think he played for anyone else beforehand. And since we're playing LSU, I lived in Louisiana, actually very close by LSU, for a long time, and drove by all the big attractions. And McComey's actually getting very kind of lucky in scouting this first. And why is he lucky is he can start harassment immediately. What this probe is doing not only is... Oh no! No! McComey's going to lose this probe! Oh no! That is a huge mishap. That probe needed to start running around, but actually glitched on both those SCVs and died. What that probe was going to do is not only harass these SCVs, but it was preventing this barracks from being dropped immediately down to prevent the wall off, to even delay it more and more. And McComey's actually so frustrated that he's sending out a second probe to start up this harassment. And so far it has taken his gateway and has already begun his gas. It appears to be a faster gas than normal, but as Feardragon and I talked previously, he's the Protoss player and I'm the Terran player. I also have some experience with Zerg, as I played those for a long time. But McComey's just getting his scope in what's going on. Z-Dog has made a little patrol path to just spot exactly what's going on and may even get lucky with blocking a building placement. But his main focus is just trying to spot when a second gas is taken and and how much energy is stored up on this nexus. Ooh, excuse me. Nothing too out of the ordinary by either player other than going for actually the barracks command center first, and he's building this in the offensive command center position. I think this build is actually a little risky, especially on these kind of smaller maps, since the rush distance is so much shorter in comparison to other maps such as like Tal'Darim. And this first Zealot is actually going to go out and start doing some harassment. Now I know playing McComey several dozens, if not near 100 of times, that he likes to do this really early pressure with the Zealot and usually 2 Stalkers, as he's already waypointing them directly to the Zealot. There are 2 Marines out here, so it's going to be a little damaging to the Zealot, but if the Zealot's able to pick off this SCV, and and he's not even trying to run the Zealot back and wait for the Stalker, so he's immediately going for the Marines, picks one of the Marines off. But the big thing is to stopping this bunker, as this Zealot is, Stalker is now here, and the Zealot, almost picked off that SCV, but the SCV decided to sea-walk across the whole thing. But this Stalker now is going to do serious damage, as long as this bunker's not pulled off. And is it going to be in time? One more shot. Oh, and just finishes in time. But as long as this Stalker is able to hopefully even... wasn't able to run up the ramp, that was going to be huge. But we do even have a hidden SCV over here, so we may even see a starport going down a little later on. But this Zealot, or this Stalker, is going to be able to pick off a little bit of this chip damage from this command center, and Z-Dog isn't doing anything with his Marines to try to run out a little to pick off this Stalker at all. But it looks like McComey's waiting for a second Stalker. He has a defensive sentry and is taking down his nexus already. Z-Dog is building a second bunker, which I actually find very interesting. Z-Dog tried to sneak out another... and this may not be the best thing. McComey just should micro this one Stalker, not both of them. But picking off this SCV so he couldn't position himself in another place or even spot that the natural is going down is Makomi has blocked all vision of what's going on. So Z-Dog will have to burn a scan or something. Z-Dog has thus far opened up just 3 more barracks and is throwing down a second bunker now. And has positioned it a little back so to prevent that kind of stalker placement here of picking this off. And we even have 2 sentries going down. We may even sentry this barracks and try to break it, but he's going to need a lot more zealots to do this. And this SCV, lucky SCV, who I thought was going to build proxies, actually got in for the scout. He thought that scouting information was far more important. But Makomi looks like this soft contain is finished and he's actually turning around. He's doing this almost in timing as soon as these pros were transferred out from the main base. And Makomi doesn't want anything out of that SCV and picks it off. Right now we're up to 4 gates, and we're actually getting the robo, so we'll probably have an immortal. We may even have an immortal push or going up to straight Colossus. We do have 1 Marauder out, and Stim has just started. Very curious that he's not even keeping any of his Marines here. Surprised he's not using the Marines to start picking up these rocks immediately if they're not going to do anything other than stand there. Right now these sentries need to kind of be in this formation to start doing any force field if there is an early Marine kind of push. I know usually when I practice against Makomi, I do, actually my Marine push would have already happened. Because I usually go barracks, command center, and then I get 4 more additional barracks and I push out. Usually you catch a Protoss player a little caught off guard, especially if they did a gateway nexus, but that's not the case right now. And if this Marauder did have concussive shell, this sentry would be dead, but already Makomi's gotten away and has a 20 supply lead almost about. So Z-Dog needs to start doing something with his tech very soon, but we are probably going to have, yes, we do have the starport, and this is going to be a little off-timed, but we're going to probably have about 2 starport, or 2 dropships, medevacs, and a lot of Marines to push with this +1 and Stim. This SCV does seem to be, he's just going to get a poke a little around the front, but there's already a nice wall of zealots and a ton of sentries. These sentries just annihilate any function of last Marines. And Makomi tries to blow off some of his forces, but I'm pretty sure that SCV did spot a lot of what was going on. Makomi sees the entire army. Hold on, so many buttons. Didn't want that one. And Makomi does spot entirely that the starter part's going down, and we can see the nice little shiny part, and that's where the observer is. They might, yep, just based on how his units function, it looked like he was going to pick that off immediately. And these stalkers here, this factory is just trying to get scouting information to see exactly what's going on. It looks like it did not see the Immortal Den, which is hidden, yeah, right here, the robotics bay and whatever. So it wasn't so successful other than knowing that there was a robotics bay and a forge op, which isn't too much information for him to work on. But now that Stim is done, Combat Shield is about halfway done yet, and +1 is about to finish. 2 dropships are about to pop out any second. He's moving out a little early. He may actually, oh, I thought he was going to try to go around the back way. He's actually sending just a spotter. This 5 Marine is probably a better spotter, but that's fine. 2 Marines are just kind of hugging this little wall, and there's nothing really else going on. These 2 medevacs are finally coming in. They're going to repair up some of these Marines that were previously hurt, but they have to rush in very quickly as this Colossus has 15 seconds to be completed, and a drop is actually getting ready to come out. Oh no, and Makomi did pull out these stalkers, so this drop is actually going to do a lot of damage unless he goes too far and he's able to pull back. Right now, Makomi should be able to see this dropship. I wonder if, and he's pulling back a few stalkers and it isn't warping in any. All his warp gates look like they're able to warp in stuff, but doesn't seem to be doing anything. Oh, and these dropships are trying to sneak in. One of them might get picked off before they drop anything, and Z-Dog pulls back immediately. This is actually a very good place to be, as these medevacs, if they're standing over this high ground, cannot be spotted by any ground forces. So Makomi doesn't know if dropships are still sitting there or if they fully retreated. And it looks like Z-Dog did break down these rocks to scout any third, and Z-Dog is actually dancing around the gold. Thinks that there's rocks there, and actually Makomi's taking the gold unbeknownst to Z-Dog right now. Two Zealots are getting just some scouting information. They're going to pick up one Marine with 1 hit point left. But Z-Dog probably thinks he's actually in a fairly good formation, but with Thermal Lance being finished very soon, a lot of these Marines, in fact all these Marines, are going to be in a lot of trouble. We have the Ghost Academy that just is finished, so in the next 40 seconds, or next really 80 seconds, we'll have our first wave of Ghosts, and that's going to be very helpful to just do massive amounts of damage. Neither player is really doing too much kind of harassment or pokes. Makomi does have some understanding of what's going on. He doesn't have the Observer with the main Terran army, but he doesn't have to. He has a pretty good knowledge that Z-Dog is going for more of a biocentric force. But Makomi does appear to be a little ahead of everything. We do have a Dark Shrine going down. I don't know exactly where it is, and he just scans the front and spots that there's nothing really there. The Dark Shrine is actually right next to the Templar Archive, so he's actually teching up extremely hard, getting not only the harassment unit of the Dark Templar, but also is able to spawn in some High Templar to feed back any drops that are about to come out, or to just completely burn Psystorms if the Terran forces get choked up anymore. Z-Dog really needs to unload this medevac or do something with it. It's making me nervous. Before Z-Dog popped this Overseer, or Observer, I'm sorry, he did spot that Vikings were now in production. Since the scan did see a few Colossus, but it looks like Makomi is going up to 4. Usually you try not to get more than 5, but Makomi may stop at 4 or even go up to that 5 number. But we have a lot of Zealots, and he's already 2-2 versus the Terrans 1-1. We have a comment of such a passive game, but I mean, this is how Makomi likes to play. He's completely maxed right now, so he'll probably want to move out very shortly, and he's actually going to poke in there with some Dark Templar now, and we do have this dropship. So both players at the exact same time saying, alright, something needs to happen, and these 3 Stalkers are able to pick off the medevac before anything happens. And one DT is getting into the 3rd right now, and the other DT is going straight for this natural. The DT gets scanned and taken out, but now the one in the natural is able to have free reign. I didn't get the count, but we're up to 5, 6, 7, and we're just clearing out. And Makomi actually wants the Terran player to move a good portion of his army back, but Z-Dog doesn't care about this at all. He's just thinking of, and this is actually a very bad place, there's no Psystorms ready yet. It says on cool. Wait, does he have it? Oh crap, he has Psystorm. Oh, okay, but the Terran player is moving out. The DT just got scouting information, didn't poke at all. But we're gonna have it, and we do have a pretty good amount. We do have 8, so it does 2-shot Colossus. It takes 16 shots from Vikings to take out a Colossus, for those people who didn't know. And Psystorms are up now. We do appear to have at least 3 Psystorms along with these 4 Colossus. So even if these Vikings are able to take out the Colossus, those Psystorms are going to do massive, massive damage. Makomi is just spreading out his forces a little. Actually has to make sure that he's not hit by a Psystorm, even though that there are 3 Ghosts on the way right now, but none are out on the field. And we do have our first engagement. Not all the forces from the Terran is ready. Psystorm is doing more damage to the Zealots, and we do have even a bigger engagement, just picking off more and more forces right now. A lot of her Vikings from that Psystorm, the Vikings were able to pick off 2 Colossus, but the Terran army is actually holding its own with a massive amount of Marauders. No Guardian Shields being thrown out. When Colossus gets picked off by the Marauders, more Zealots are getting warped in, and Z-Dog just calls it right then and there, and he's completely flushed out by McCombie. Hit right before those ghosts came out to really do anything. The 3-3 Protoss army demolished the 2-2 Terran army. So that concludes our game 2.